know the way that like John Lennon, like, you know, like all those guys are really talented, and Paul is like got that. Paul is just so unbelievable. But you know the way that John is just kind of kissed with genius? That's the same thing with Syd Barrett. And that was one of the guys in the studio saying that about Syd Barrett. And I love those songs. Chris Enright and I walk along, you know, the trails. Like when Tony's listening to the podcast, Chris and I, you know, we'll hit the trails and break into song. And a lot of times it'll be like, I've got a bike and you can ride it if you like, you know.
It's great stuff.
You just start doing it, you know, like it's great. Yeah. XTC wouldn't have would not exist if it wasn't for Syd Barrett.
Robin Hitchcock wouldn't have a career. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. There's that Pink Floyd, and that's not the, like, maybe more Interstellar Overdrive might be a better example of that. But once again, it's like,
I love it. I've covered it.
Yeah, no,
in bands,
I love
anyway.
It. But you're jumping to the fact that I'm saying that just bad music is made in this scenario, but it becomes it's like it clicks and it works versus right they then struggle, like they're not playing, they're almost like they're not balanced until they kind of coalesce. Like you're saying,
they start writing like these middle of the road songs as well.
They don't have
the whole
right?
Dark Side of the Moon is classic rock now, John. It's like, it's just classic rock. There's nothing about it like that's like weird and experimental. You know. Like, yes, if you put Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite on the radio, on any radio station right now, went and broadcast it, the only place you'd be able to play that would be on some weird alternative college, whatever kind of station. It's too weird.
Yeah. You sort of moved, like, Dark Side of the Moon is them serving the music. You know what I mean? I'm saying that we're the original point you're making about
fucking like Dark Side of the Moon fan is what you are. Cool.
We're talking about serving the songs, and what I'm saying is when we were trying to where does that spell get broken, and I'm thinking it is these. We're gonna stop serving the song, and it's gonna be like, I'm gonna have a platform for you to go wail for 15 minutes, right? And that does kind of come out of the Cream thing, right? Because you could then argue, like, certainly Grand Funk, you know, when they get outside the limit of a song, they kind of fall apart, and it's just like, sorry, right. I don't want to hear you drum solo for 20 minutes. You are not John Bonham, and I can barely tolerate John Bonham for a drum solo.
But you personally, John, you have a very, like, I've heard you talk about this before, you have a very low threshold for any of that kind of stuff. Once it leaves a certain box that is, and it can be a fucked up box. Like, I'm not pigeonholing you into, you know, like, but I've heard you, you know, give me back the riff. Like, I'm done with Sonic Youth. There's certain, like, you know, Silver Rocket, like, you know, is one of those songs where you're like, all right, let's get back to, you know, get back to the riff. You know, give me.
In some cases, it's like Silver Rocket is a good example of where that breakdown, and Interstellar Overdrive the same. It's sort of that breakdown. Just like there's never that glory of hitting the riff again without the cacophony in between it. You know what I mean? It's
agreed. But you're like I'm that way with the one that I like from Led Zeppelin is
Moby Dick.
Like, but then Moby Dick. But then when they go into the breakdown, and Bonham gets the drum solo in there, you like
skip it over.
You're like, I could leave a lot of this on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. And I especially don't need the live version that is 20 minutes long.
And that sort of stuff. But sometimes it's like magic comes out of those moments too. But at the same time, it's like there are those bands you go and you see live and you're just like, they were totally on and it worked. And there's other time it's like, yeah, that's when I went and peed. It was
I went into a bar one time in New York and saw Ernie's band was playing there.
The Jade Monkey band, or
it was not Jade Monkey. It was another, like Ernie's like Ray, like they're always playing in 100 bands.
Okay.
And Ernie was playing with these guys, and it was a brew pub up in New York. It wasn't in New York City. At any rate, like they opened up with
oh wow, that's a ballsy move.
Like, and you're just like, and they went for it, like the whole.
Who was playing drums? Anybody we know?
They went for it, and Ernie, of course, is killing it. When they come back into the riff, he was, he's.
What I like about that idea, though, it's kind of like an intro song, and it's like, make sure you get your drinks. We're starting.
Yeah.
That
at the same time, you're like, I'm not going to get my drink. Like, I want to like it's rocking.
It takes the energy, Reddit.
I want to defend Dark Side of the Moon here for a minute.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, now I'm going to say we're with a record like that. I'm going to compare it to movies, and it's like we're looking at it after the fact that it's become a classic album that sold bazillion copies, was on the charts for 300 weeks, whatever the records they broke. And so it's easy for us to look back and say, oh my God. But think of it as it coming out. It's like, I want to compare it to like a Citizen Kane, that kind of movie for us, of a generation that has seen the second or third iteration of movie directors in movies. It's nothing. When you go and watch Citizen Kane, you're like, well, I don't get it. What's the big deal? But to an audience in the 30s when that came out, it's like no one had ever done that. And I'm not saying these guys broke ground, but that...
they did. I mean, sonically, it is such a great sounding record. I mean, some, the sleepy vocals and stuff like that, but it's more about what it represents than what it actually is, that I think rubs the wrong way.
Sgt. Pepper is the same record then.
Exactly.
In that regard.
Exactly. I agree.
Unfortunately, it's one of those things. It's a victim of its own success. It's played a bazillion times at any given time. You turn on a classic rock station. Every idiot that we went to school with or know, it's over a certain age is like.
But that's the thing. I think it also there's an age, and I think it's very much a guy's record. Mm-hmm. And it's like teens and 20s, it's teens in college, right?
But those guys now.
See another, so that's a record that I can remember being somewhere, and I wish I could remember exactly what time that it was, where it was just like, but I remember driving along somewhere, listening to the radio and having a DJ say, and that's it, finally Dark Side of the Moon has slipped off of the top 500,
that is incredible, right?
It had slipped out of it,
It was on the charts from 73 to 78. It was a solid 5 years.
I thought it went into the 80s that it was still on the charts.
John.
Might have. Yeah, you're right.
I think it did. There was 2 of those. There was another one where it was just I remember driving along and hearing someone say that Nevermind the Bollocks had gone gold.
That was in the 90s.
Opposite.
And it was it finally went
took that long.
gold. And to us, it was if you didn't have that record, then you couldn't even call yourself a punk rocker.
Yeah.
But my point is that, unfortunately, again, I avoid all this by, not listening to classic rock stations. And then every once in a while, maybe in 3 or 4 years, a song will come on or the album will come on and I'll listen to it. And it's a great song. So much of this stuff gets ruined because it's just overused. It's overplayed and it's overhyped and it's just like
the magic goes away if it's kind of like relationships,
I imagine that has not happened to you with the Eagles though yet, right? No, tell me no.
Which album? What, the long run you're talking about?
Wow,
you even
got to ask what album. I don't know, John.
Hotel California.
I don't know, John. You can
come on, guys. You just listen. Look, come on. Eagles' greatest hits. Why?
We had that record as kids.
That's the best album they ever made. That greatest hits album. Like, how did they make a better album than that? That's my favorite album by them.
No, I'm not.
Thank you, Chris.
I mean, wasn't that always the one? Like, I love Bob Marley. I love Legend.
Right, Legend. Yeah.
It was always the joke.
It's such a weird thing. How come every band's best album is called Greatest Hits? Like, what made them call? It's just so strange.
Doors 13.
Yeah.
That record.
Well,
it's got all their hits on there.
The Doors had already milked it like American Prayer out of all support.
It's just upsetting to have the Doors conversation. I can't.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. That's why we're getting it out on Pink Floyd. I will say this. That web page was still up when I got in front of my computer, and I don't want to rehash, but there was a few surprises because I had to keep looking through that list on his Wikipedia.
Did you find any songs you actually like?
No, but that's not the point. I mean, it's still like I know you don't like the guy and he's a sellout, he's whatever, but he's still. You can't take away the number of songs that guy co-wrote, and they all contain the word "love" in it somehow. I mean, this
is not taking, and this is not a knock on his skill whatsoever. But at the same time, if you get more times at bat than anybody else in the World Series, you're going to hold a lot of World Series records. Right at the end of the day, you just have like Desmond Child. Okay, he definitely helps elevate Bon Jovi to the next level, right? And then he's now gets to write songs for a band that has sold 10 million copies, right? Your chances of you having another hit are pretty high. And then
he knows the formula, though. He knows the formula, though.
And the formula is start with the damn chorus.
Does he know any better than Voice and Heart?
No, it's different. Like it's different from a Voice and Heart because we like those songs. I mean, this guy has people come to him because he has the formula down.
Let's talk about Desmond Child.
And it's like, this is the one that surprised me was Joan Jett. I Hate Myself for Loving You. There's a number of Joan Jett songs here.
That's early. That's yeah. I think that's he's still finding himself. I think that's early on, right? That's because the Bon Jovi thing is really what takes him up, right? Then he starts working with Kiss and
no, it's the other way around. This much I do know from reading it 3 years ago.
So
he works for Diana Ross and Cher. Kiss. Gene Simmons is dating Diana Ross. Gene Simmons gets him. And Cher, and so Bon Jovi's then opening up for Kiss, and then in that is how Bon Jovi is. We need to get that guy.
He gets the Bon Jovi treatment.
And once you get Bon Jovi, it's like everybody's. I want that treatment.
Once you get remember, but also it blew up. Bon Jovi was not Bon Jovi, right? And it's like the Child song is played. You know what I mean? It's like you step in it, and so as a result, this is classic. You always give me shit for being in this business, but this classic record company, right? It's like
you starting to feel that? Are you starting?
You gotta
to
have hits.
Bit, John?
You gotta have hits.
Industry boy.
I appreciate that you guys are willing to talk to me, with all of your street cred. So I really think that some of that will rub off. But you know what I'm saying? But so they'll just drive it to the, this formula works. So we're going to do it until everyone just wears it out. And that's just the history of it'll be think about, Nirvana breaks. And then you get how many years before they fucking let that go?
All that nonsense that came after. But I just want to.
Why'd you have to bring up Nirvana, by the way? Are you going to, there's a rumor going around that you're going to get Pat Smear on the show.
Yeah.
Are you going to get Pat Smear on the show?
I am not going to get Pat Smear. If you followed the thread, you saw that
I thought Mike Riley's going to get
No.
Pat Smear's guitar
Yeah,
tech.
Mike Riley.
No, we want his guitar tech on there.
Yeah, his guitar tech will probably tell me. No, Pat put his solo record out on SSD. I spent a little time with him about 10 years ago. I was in Miami. Foo Fighters were